Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the round of 8 in the TeamLiquid.net StarCraft 2 Invitational happening here on your sunny Saturday morning and perhaps a Saturday evening if you are in Europe, because that is where all our players are from today. We just saw Rhett, who an incredible StarCraft 1 player, and honestly, from the games there, is a great StarCraft 2 player, and even in Game 3, I think he may have had the advantage, but still was able to go 2-1, lost 1-2 to DeMuslim, the Warcraft 3 player. So, of course, letting everyone know that pretty much anyone with RTS experience is fair game for being a high-level StarCraft 2 player. And here, in this series, we have Strelok against HayprO. So, both of them won 2-0 in their series. Strelok went 2-0 against Horror in the round of 16, and HayprO went 2-0 against Jesus Obs. And it looks like we're going to be having a Zerg vs Terran coming up here, and the map rotation is going to be Lost Temple, followed by Scrap Station, followed by Blistering Sands. I'm going to go ahead and spam the start, and let them know that it is indeed time to do a little Castaruha action, and we are going to go right on over to the main screen here. So, where... Oh, that's not the right button. There, that's the right button. That's fantastic. So here we have it coming up right now. Good luck, have fun, and good game going right in to Game 1 of the round of 8 here. We have Moose Strelok against HayprO. Now, I don't know too much about these players. Actually, I do know a little bit about HayprO. I've seen games between Jinro and HayprO, but of course, Jinro, aka Frozen Arbiter on the TeamLiquid.net forums, does tend to play quite unorthodoxly. We have HayprO spawning here as the red Zerg. Over here, we have Strelok spawning as the blue Terran. Now, this is a nice little thing to note that Jinro, because his strategies are so unorthodox, HayprO might have been preparing perhaps for not the best types of strategies to play against. Looks like we're having some errors. Sorry, 1 second. So people are trying to message me about, hey, you know who I think you should cast for the round of 8? Well, I'm already live. So, yeah. Anyways, so we have Strelok going ahead and doing the standard thing, building the supply depots here, but as Demaga showed us, this is a little bit dangerous to do. A lot of players who do this can lose very easily to some sort of Baneling bustin' with Zerglings. Everything's going pretty normally otherwise, continuing to build SCVs towards 11. We see HayprO favoring the Overlord on 10. Again, a lot of players have been debating whether or not Overlord on 9 is better or not, or Overlord on 10 with an extractor trick, these sorts of things, just to make sure that larva production stays pretty even. And we have, looks like no barracks going down quite yet. That's a relatively late barracks. Most players like to throw it down right on 12, feeling a little scared, but looks like Moose Strelok is not going to be deterred. We do see HayprO going for a spawning pool on 13. Oh, that's an awfully early spawning pool. That's a very interesting decision right there. Probably going to be getting expansion at some point, but not too soon. Generally, when players are getting the pool that early, it's a little easier just to rely on that queen. So, for instance, Demaga likes pooling on 13 and then throwing down a gas right away as well. So we have the barracks almost finished. We have the gas going up as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of Hellion early action. We see that a lot of players like building a barracks with a reactor on the sides. That way they can lift the factory and land it there and do the double Hellion push. We have the gas, going down there right now. And it looks like one Marine being thrown down. No orbital command yet, probably right after this first SCV. And look at that timing. I love little things like that that really show when a player is ultra focused. Queen now going down, Overlord up. Looks like he is going to be going for a relatively delayed expansion, but he's going to be up super solid nonetheless. So, oh, look at this. This is the same trick that we saw DeMuslim do last game. And look at the look at HayprO's drone doing a little bit of dark sliding there. Look at him. That's so fancy. Look at him. Ooh. So, at the very least, we know that glitching is possible in StarCraft 2, and it does get canceled, and the hatch is going to go down relatively easily. And the Queen's popping up, gas going down, very typical type of play. Factory going down now. Looks like he is going to be going for some Hellion antics. Some odd queuing. This is atypical of Strelok, who had phenomenal mechanics in SC1. Needs to be building that reactor right away. As we can see, this reactor costs 50-50. He has enough money to be doing it. There's an extended build time on that if you wanted to be going for any sort of double reactor Hellion sort of action, but we don't see anything quite yet. Perhaps he's just getting a tech lab for Hellions? I don't know. I can't explain what it is that he's trying to do. And we do have a lone Marine here defending the front. He's holding down like a superhero badass. Looks like the expansion is going down. And look at this. This is so good. Already setting up these rally points long before it's finished. We still haven't seen any big reveal about the tech. A second queen going down. Very excellent. Fantastic play. Just wish he'd vomit a little bit with this queen. Come on, give her a little bit of puke in action. It can't hurt. Forgetting to vomit larvas, perhaps the biggest thing to worry about as Zerg macro. And there we do see it finally go around as I ping back. And it looks like we are going to see, looks like instead of getting double Hellion, going for single factory Hellion, but getting that infernal pre-igniter, which by the way is an awesome name, and Strelok getting scouted by HayprO's early overlord. Second factory almost down, so probably a lot of very early aggression. But the thing to be worried about is you make sure you have a lot of supply depots. That's very important. Getting a Roach Warren, getting Zergling speed, making sure that he has a little bit of extra defense for an almost inevitable Roach transition. I mean, he has seen one factory with an add-on. That means he knows he's going to be up against at least some Hellions. And of course, when he sees the second reactor, he knows he's going to be up against a lot of Hellions. So the Roach Warren does make a lot of sense. Excellent decision. But you can't get too skewed towards Roaches. That's why he's already getting that Zergling speed upgrade. Prepare for any sort of Marauders coming up. So that, I think, is an absolutely brilliant transition right there. So, looks like the Queen's vomiting pretty much as usual. Zergling speed almost done. No layer tech. A lot of players like to be getting layered a little bit earlier right now. We have command center going down. A lot of Hellions being made. Gotta keep checking if he's making a lot of supply depots. He is going to get supply blocked almost immediately if he doesn't build one. That is the biggest concern. Anytime you have someone making a lot of Hellions, they're fast, they're awesome. I love them. I think you should make them. But you gotta be careful that you're continuing to make supply depots, because look at this. He's getting supply blocked right here. And it looks like he didn't even have the money to do anything with it. But he does have the Infernal Pre-Igniter. Looks like he's going for a 6 Hellion push. This is awesome. And with two factories, it's always interesting to think if he's going to be going for some sort of transition to mech play in later stages, whether he's going to be adding on more barracks for Marauders. That's pretty typical, because there's really no mech unit that's very, very good against Roaches. And of course, I do happen to know that there are several Terran players who would like that to be changed. Perhaps make tanks do 70 damage plus 145 to armor, something like that, so they can one-shot Roaches and be awesome. I think that would be just nifty. But anyways, two barracks going down. Looks like he has completely halted his his Hellion production, going straight to Marauders. Command center almost done. Getting a bunker, which, as you know, you can salvage for 100% resources back. So that's always an excellent decision to be doing. Looks like the layer is only just now getting started, or excuse me, just now getting finished. So a little bit later than normal, but that's generally just fine, right? It's not the biggest deal in the world, because you really do need to stay alive to these Hellions. If you couldn't see your opponent's tech, a lot earlier layers generally favorable. Trying to see if he's going to be getting some key upgrade with these, whether he's going to be getting this Glial Reconstitution for movement speed for the Roaches, or whether he's going to be getting, oh yes indeed, he's getting a Spire. This, I think, is just so high level. This is just fantastic. I'm scouting around. There's really no anti-air that he has. Look, he has these Hellions coming out, there's Roaches at the front, but this is a brilliant transition, because note the fact that he has seen these two factories come out early. And what did he do? He made a bunch of Roaches, easily being able to defend these sorts of Hellions. So we know pretty clearly that our opponent is going to be going for lots and lots and lots of Marauders. I think this is an excellent way to screw with your opponent's tech tree. You know his Marauders are going to be out there. This is no anti-air pretty much anywhere. This is going to be a super scary situation. If he doesn't do something about it soon. But look at this, a drop coming up, saving up money, a little bit too high there. And oh my god, we have these Hellions coming in here. Roaches trying to make their way back up here, but look, it's just going to take one shot. Oh my god, these poor drones. Just one shot can do so much damage if he just gets it off. One drone falls. I am blown away that more drones aren't getting eaten alive here. Look at that. There it is. Yes, indeed, we love that. Oh my god, demolishing these drones, these poor drones. These Hellion drops are so good if you have the pre-igniter. This is just a phenomenal, incredibly scary drop, but unfortunately, he still has not seen the Spire tech. And if we go down here, more Mutalisks being made. And uh-oh, running up right here. It looks like he is going to kill it off, but he sees the Mutalisks. Where is the anti-air? And look, there's the Marines, only just now being queued. Is there any sort of Thor tech? Is there an armory? No, it is just anti-ground. These Mutalisks are going to do tons of damage, and there's just 3 of them. It's incredible to see how vulnerable he is in this spot. Trying to make some emergency Vikings, but I mean, HayprO has plenty of money. He's going to be expanding. He needs to throw guys back in gas to get yet more Mutalisks. And running in here, more SCVs dying. This is just serious damage. Look at this. Oh my god, almost no SCVs mining. Go to the unit counting station. 52 drones, 35 SCVs, and more falling fast. 1 Viking's out. This Viking is going to need to be the hero of the day. 1 missile turret's almost up. Surprising that HayprO didn't target fire that SCV. And look, repelling it, as you can hear by the suave bass of my beautiful Bose speakers. And it looks like this Viking needs to be a little bit careful. But of course, as we know, Mutalisks have a range of 3. Vikings have a range of 9. Needs to back up, but takes the Viking down. Another one almost finished. But it looks like Strelok was more okay than I would have thought he'd be. Looks like the gold mineral patch is now going down for HayprO. HayprO getting close to 100 food right now. Very different games from the ones that we just saw between DeMuslim and Rhett. That engineering bay is down. Curious if he's going to be getting upgrades out of that now. We have 1 turret being thrown down here. Turrets are a little more expensive than they were in StarCraft 1, but they do a lot more damage. So he should be A-okay and happy snap-a-rooey ready to go-y. And it looks like we have both upgrades. We have the combat shield upgrade. We already have Stim finished researching. So it looks like Mutalisk Roach composition here for HayprO. I really like this mix because if you can tech all the way up to a hive, it means that you can get the Broodlords relatively easily. I mean, you already have your Spire done. You can just throw the Corruptors down right away. And then you can really screw up with their buildings and just sort of run in there and prevent them all from doing anything. I really like Corruptors into Broodlords after you've been going Roaches in the mid-game. But it looks like we do see another hatchery going down in HayprO's main, going for the super macro, Hydral's Den going down, Baneling Nest going down, throwing down all the really techs that he can get away with, you know. He loves having that little tech variety there. And we do, in fact, see getting the speed upgrade for the Overlords, throwing down yet more Zerglings. What sorts of upgrades here? Looks like he's still getting the range and carapace upgrades. He already has +1 range upgrade for the acid saliva of the Roaches. And this force is not looking particularly intimidating. I mean, these Hellions are going to do serious damage to any sort of Zerglings or Hydralisks in the mix, but already it's just a ton of Roaches. And, I mean, that lack of anti-air is a little concerning to me. So this is a super interesting composition. It's pretty much just Marauders and Hellions. I mean, this is like the anti-Roach, anti-Ling. Or I guess I would call it just anti-ground. I mean, most of the Zerg units are either armored or light, so it does an excellent job against that wide variety. And of course, since he has those medevacs there, this small number of Mutalisks are going to be easily repelled. And as we can see, it looks like HayprO's hinting that he wants to be expanding down here eventually. Does have 2 geysers down here, finished at his double gas. And look, huge unit diversity here for Zerg, and very concentrated for Strelok. And more Zerglings being added on. This hatch to help the fact that HayprO looks like he was forgetting to do the little boost with his queen, forgetting the larva right there. And look, big push forward with these Hellions, just demolishing all these units. Look at the little charred remains everywhere. And Banelings, I do not think so. Big push coming in, trying to surround, and so many units for Zerg running in here. You almost can't see what's going on underneath all these Overlords, but the Roach count is enormous. That battle was through so quickly. Those Hellions evaporated near instantly, and it was just a small number of Marauders up against an enormous Roach count with tons of Hydralisks to back it up, and even a few Banelings getting thrown down there. Almost humorously, he has the gold mineral patches up and nothing mining there. Baneling Nest getting the centrifugal hooks right there. This Queen's doing a good job of keeping up. Already 2-1 upgrades. That had to be instrumental for that battle. And it looks like Strelok trying to replenish pretty much the exact same composition, liking his Hellion Marauder combination. But, I mean, he's at 89 food to HayprO's 131 food. So we're going to need to see some sort of significant turnaround if he wants to stay in this game. No Infestors yet, just relying on Roaches and Hydralisks to hold off that early composition for Strelok. HayprO going for yet another expansion. Looks like his Overlords are gathering over here for a creep-puking party. And Mutalisk coming up here to the completely undefended front. Look at this. There's no Marines anywhere. I bet that we have an emergency Viking being made or something like that. But no. This is serious. One medevac goes down. These Marauders are falling so quickly. HayprO has the freedom to make any units he wants to and bust in the front. He has the freedom to make drones and get an economic advantage in the late game. Look at all these units. Where do these come from? My God, that's a lot of units. And it looks like he's just going for it. We have the rolling volleyballs of death, the Banelings with the centrifugal hook upgrade, rolling on in the front door, going to easily bust down this wall in. And these Mutalisks are just wreaking havoc. 3 kills, 6 kills, 1, 3. This way higher kill count than is typical. Running up here, and good game. It looks like Strelok didn't even put up a fight when he saw that composition. Just pretty much gave up. Really solid play by HayprO. I mean, pretty much never any point in time where he was really threatened in any regard. He just had a solid lockdown start to finish in that game. Just great, beautiful job there. And it looks like game 2 we're going to be playing, I believe, on Scrap Station, which is one of my favorite maps. Just like the fact that it's very easy to get away with early expanding because the rush distances are very long, but it's like the slightly after rush phase that's dangerous. So for instance, if a Zerg player opens up early expands and almost the exact same Hellion push that we saw in this game, if that happens, Zerg has a much harder time because as we saw in this game, HayprO did a beautiful job of just putting roaches and a spine crawler at the front. It was no problem to hold off. But on this map, on Scrap Station, it's way, way more difficult to hold off. And though that sort of early composition is good, though those early Hellions with the Infernal Preignite are obviously going to be able to do a ton of damage versus drones, as we saw in that drop, the issue comes in the mid-game, because I don't think that composition was particularly strong. I mean, it evaporated almost immediately, and here we are going right into game 2, no delay whatsoever. Whoopsie daisy, looks like I'm in 2D. Oh no, I'm going to slide my beautiful face right off the bottom of the screen. Just like a lurker, just burrowing right at the start of the game. Just to remind everyone about the units that we have lost in the creation of this beautiful game we have, StarCraft 2. So here, as we clearly see, we have Strelok in the fashionable blue pieces here. This is a great blue. It's almost a cerulean blue. Perhaps cauliflower, something along that line. A nice, gentle blue down here at the right. And at the top, we have HayprO spawning as the aggressive, manly red. This map, I really like going for some sort of 14 expo here like this, but I always send my drone a little earlier to check up here, because lots of cheeses happen right here. Even cheeses start at the other player's high ground, where he can hide a barracks, hide a factory, something like that. Either way, Zerg is going to have a lot of information with this early Overlord. He's going to be able to know exactly what is up and have a good sense of what his opponent wants to be doing. I really think Strelok might be questioning his composition after that first game. Yeah, roaches are... Or excuse me, yeah, Hellions are great, but roaches just shut those Hellions down a little too hard. And I can tell that Strelok, I mean, knowing the games that I've played with him in StarCraft 1, he's smart enough to make an adjustment on the fly. Strelok also is a player who is a gaming superhero. He is incredibly good at just mass gaming sessions, being able to log hundreds of hours straight without really losing any sort of efficiency in his play. Oopsie daisies, sorry about that. And it looks like we have the 13 barracks going down right here, creating this artificial wall. And on this map specifically, I'm even more worried about some sort of Baneling Zergling bust early on. I'm just so aware of that. Pool going down on 14, very standard play. It looks like HayprO is favoring the idea of getting those slightly earlier queens, just so he can get a lot more units. Always a useful way to play. Just get the queen out very, very, very early. A lot of players like the fact that the 15 pool, 16 hatch timing, where you expand here, a little bit delayed. People like that those timings just feel so good and just work out right, seemingly by themselves. But in this case, even though it might feel a little more uncomfortable, I think you actually end up with maybe a few more drones early on, or at least a little bit more flexibility against rushes. And it looks like Strelok is pretty much completing the wall off when this command center goes down. Or excuse me, when the SCV finishes, the command center is almost certainly going to morph to the orbital command, which, as everyone notes, is a fantastic choice early on. Any Marines being made early on? No, going straight for the command center. And this is actually a little concerning to me, this supply depot right here. I feel like this supply depot betrays a lot. I don't know if HayprO actually got the chance to see it. Let's just hold it down. Okay, well, it looks like he is going to get the chance to check it out in just a minute. By the way, for any of you curious about the technique I'm doing, I'm just holding the V key. So if I hold V, I get to see the vision of Strelok. And it looks like Strelok is doing a little bit more of these bunker antics. Just goes ahead and cancels it, but at least delayed it just a touch. Queen almost finished now. Gas up. Doing the very standard opening. Has a lot of flexibility to it. You can get either the fast layer if we don't feel any sort of threat from Hellions early on, or we can go for the roaches straight away. And look at this. HayprO, if he can poke forward and just see this supply depot, oh yeah, see that betrays a lot of information. We know our opponent is not going for any sort of marauder early on. We have seen him go for this sort of early factory, and look at this double factory getting thrown down. Almost identically to last game. 2 gas early for Strelok, puts 3 in both geysers, which is fan-frickin-tastic. We have the tech lab going down. Looks like we are going to be going for the identical build. And you know what? I like this a lot more on this map. I bet you Strelok was really gunning for this map in the map selection. Look at HayprO already doing the same setup, getting the Zergling speed to be able to deal with any sort of marauders early on, and getting roaches to be able to deal with Hellions early on. Solid little play right there. And just to note that after this, we're going to take yet another 10-minute break, and we're going to go straight into the winner of Nazgul and Jinro. That is one result that I know is being played right now. Nazgul and Jinro are playing, and they were training all day yesterday. And I know this because I was actually observing it. And they are just playing at such high levels, so definitely those are going to be some of the games of the tournament, I feel, right there. So I will definitely be casting the winner of that game. So we do see the good old burrow from the supply depot. And these Zerglings are starting to try to back off. They know what's up, but Strelok hunting with his Hellion. Cooking that Zergling. Zergling barbecue. Zergling gets a little bit of vision before he gets roasted to pieces. And look at this. Uh-oh, Larva Vomit just finished. And, oh my god, that Spine Crawler is so delayed. He's making Zerglings. Oof. Is he getting the pre-igniter? He is. A lot of Hellions coming out early. No delay in moving out this time. 1 roach does finish, but look, just that one little Hellion forced HayprO to build that Spine Crawler. That is pretty big. That's pretty huge. Zergling speeds are now finished, trying to make sure he keeps up with that Vomit. Looks like the command center is going down now. Excellent timing on that, getting yet still more Hellions. Getting now the tech lab, transitioning into that Marauder composition because now he knows he can force his opponent to make even more roaches. I really feel like what Strelok is going for is a mid-game push that consists of Hellions and roaches, which is quite effective if you can pull it off in time, but I'm a little concerned about the amount of time that it's taking. As we saw in Game 1 when he moved out, it was pretty much roaches that ended up killing this army that theoretically should be really good at roaches. I mean, yeah, Hellions individually are good against Zerglings, and that roaches individually are not so good against Marauders and that sort of thing, but if you don't have that many Marauders and don't have that many Hellions, it's going to fall so fast. I mean, it's a very stereotyped army. A Marine is pretty decent against Zerglings and roaches. It's a little bit more versatile. No layer anywhere in sight. It looks like that second barracks is going down. Getting supply blocked. There's a supply depot. Very early engineering bay this time. It was a lot later this game. Command center done, but no SCVs in sight. There they are. Some friendly SCVs coming down. Just hitting 50 energy. Let's see how quickly it takes him to spend that, because that is another great sign of a good player. He's a player who's aware of this energy and is constantly coming back. It's getting a little bit high. Definitely higher than he wants. A lot of defenses being made up here. We have big roach ling wall up on this front. Bunch of roaches by this Spine Crawler here, but I think HayprO's starting to feel a little bit more comfort. Well-placed scan there. Looks like he was saving up that energy for a good time. In fact, not going for any sort of mule. Going to rely more on the scans to make sure he's making the correct army composition. And ooh, if we saw a fast dropship come out here, I would love that. Or excuse me, a fast medevac. Sometimes my StarCraft oneness comes out, but you know, no big deal. I like calling Stalkers Dragoons as well. And we have roaches. Once there's a good number of roaches, you can advance here. But I love that HayprO didn't do it too soon. He was good about leaving roaches here and roaches here up at the front. Looks like we have an Evo chamber going down. Very similar build to what we're seeing a lot of Zerg players do, where they get this layer fast, get this +1 range upgrade, and then just continue to boost their Reapers. Wow, I'm missaying things a lot today. They boost their roaches. There we go. And I would just like to let everyone know that if we get 6 more viewers to join, we will have 4,000 viewers on the TeamLiquid StarCraft 2 invite. This is the round of 8 currently, or we're watching Strelok against HayprO. And look, Strelok trying to do a little bit of magic here with those Hellions, but it is not meant to be. He is going to have to back off because those roaches are so strong, getting a little bit of extra goo at the front door for mobility, and these Zerglings sort of darting around just to make sure nothing else nutty is going on. We see that there are no more expansions going down for either player. It looks like Strelok is continuing to go for this composition of Marine Marauder Hellion, and this big drop is going to do a ton of damage if he's not looking for it. I mean, look, there's almost like a wall here for the Hellions to micro around. And look, this Viking's trying to do some damage. 2 kills already on the Viking. That is just fantastic. And the Queens are trying to maneuver around, but they're just bound to these hatcheries for life. And it looks like he is going to get the chance to take out yet more Overlords. Look at the Spine Crawler just scrambling over there like some sort of frantic cactus. And does not get it taken down. And the Queen manages to successfully repel it. But in the meantime, oh god, this is so late. This dropship has been out for ages. He needs to start making use of this medevac. Expansion now going down for Strelok. Going to be lifting it to this mineral set over here. Oh, goodbye, Overlord. Poor thing. And look, big push coming out now for HayprO. Just enough units so that he can safely take this expansion. He is looking fantastic right now. And we have Strelok just kind of hanging out here with these Hellions. Look at how much it is shut down in terms of vision. I mean, there is not much that HayprO is getting to see here, thanks to these Hellions. Uh-oh, some Zerglings are going to manage to sneak by, but they're only going to see more Hellions. Look, HayprO has no idea that, in fact, there are a ton of barracks going down, and that more Hellions are still being made. This is what's great about Hellions, is they give you a good solid map control. Almost cutting them off, but not quite. The Roaches managed to do a decent amount of damage. And look at this, medevacs, and not that many Marauders. We go to the unit counting station. It's 23 Roaches right now for the Zerg, and only 7 Marauders. That's fairly low. And still no drop in the back of the main. That's one of the most significant aspects of this map, is the drop paths are so short. Definitely something you want to exploit. Looks like Strelok is just going to be setting up this expansion nice and safely. And ladies and gentlemen, we have just hit 4,000 viewers, so that is fantastic. I am delighted about that. So we have Strelok moving forward here, but again, this is a very interesting composition. Even though Marauders are good against Roaches, and yeah, Hellions are great against Zerglings, Marauders are not that good against Zerglings, and Hellions are just really not that good against Roaches. So it ends up being a little bit weaker the bigger these armies get. Adding in more Hydralisks, that's going to be good for Strelok. He really wants to have those Hydralisks in there to maximize the damage of these Hellions. And Strelok trying to stay back. 123 food for Strelok, 110 food for HayprO, so nice job by Strelok for staying ahead in that food fight. And here we have the carapace going for +1. It looks like we're going +2 carapace as well at this Evo chamber. Looks like range is almost done for Hydralisks, doing a big transition to Hydralisks. Would love it if he started gunning for this expo as well, or at the very least if he starts just knocking down these destructible debris. Not too many drones here yet. Did get a queen up there. And I like this number of queens because Roaches are relatively inexpensive, so you can afford to get a lot of larvae. And it looks like just adding on the usual sort of composition of Marine Marauder. Already has the 1-1 upgrades. Needs to be adding on an armory right now to be able to continue to tech. And with this expansion up as a planetary fortress, this is going to be tough for Zerg to break. Relatively passive play by Strelok. Not going for any sort of aggression, but oh, Zerg. Look at HayprO coming up here, going right underneath. Backing off, though, because my god, look at just a few shots from that planetary fortress. Made so much of this army incredibly orange, which is not a good spot to be in StarCraft land. And what I love so much about HayprO's play here is that it's a very clear transition, right? It's opening up with a lot of Roaches and then skewing way far into Hydralisks later on in the game. I love that sort of transition, and now that he has this big economy set up, he is in prime condition to do that sort of work. No infestors anywhere in sight. If he starts adding on geysers, he will have enough gas to do that, which is going to be ever so important against really any Marine Marauder combination. Is he still getting Hellions? Ooh, tanks coming in. Oh, this is so suave, and a Raven coming in. Is there a fusion core going down anywhere? because Ravens, as good as they are, uh-oh, big battle coming in at the front, but gets repelled yet again. I did not mean to hit those backslashes. And look at this, great movement by HayprO. Notice how it forced all these units down, but then they came back up. So that way HayprO could come in here, get a big solid arc on this planetary fortress, hoping to take it out. And here he is moving forward again. Is now the time to move in? Looks like he's target firing it. It is falling fast. He's trying to reposition these units. 2 roaches get roasted. And he's target firing it. A lot of Hydros up here at the high ground. It looks like this planetary fortress is down. Yes, that is what HayprO needed to have happen. HayprO currently up 1-0 in this series. Strelok not in a hot spot. Needs to start putting some tanks up on this high ground if he wants to be able to survive these enormous Hydrolist numbers, because it clearly is all HayprO wants to be making in this mid-game section of the game. It looks like he's going for it, but no siege mode yet. Big blunder by Zerg, I think. Took so much damage. Even the SCVs want a piece of the action. There's the siege mode. Look at the damage being dealt here at these southern Hydralisks. Oh, doing a ton of damage to the SCVs. And look at all these Hydralisk corpses and all these Marauders. My goodness, and more Hydralisk by HayprO. Where does he get that macro? Who does he think he is? Bisu? Oh my god, backing off, sieging up, and staying put. So even though that was a pretty scary spot for Zerg, look at this. 145 food? Holy crap, that's so good. And Terran at 118 food does have a really nice solid army. He had the opportunity to transition to these tanks. He's getting some Ravens out. We're looking for a fusion core to see if he's getting any sort. There it is. That's what's going to let him get those Hunter-Seeker missiles. Notice Strelok is just broke. He has no mineral patches left. Just 6, now 5 mineral patches there. Do these Hydros have, or excuse me, these Overlords have anything? No, they do not. Just continuing to scout around. Still at layer tech. Still just upgrading. Expanding. I would love to see some more transitioning here. It's dangerous to stay on just Hydralisks. HayprO's done an incredible job of getting to this point. I loved his Roaches early on and then skewing so far to Hydralisks, but he really should start going back to Roaches and get more Infestors in that mix. Killing off these debris in order to take this back, Expo, because it's so safe. This might feel a little risky given how strong the Hellions have been. And look at this tank count. Strelok desperately needs this expansion and might just be going for a war of attrition. That's what Moon, the famous Warcraft 3 player, has been doing whenever he plays Terran versus Zerg. He goes for a very turtle-heavy style. More Banelings being added to account for these added Marines in here, but you know what? I don't really see that many Marines in this composition. 10 Banelings, but really only 9 Marines. So, you know, each Baneling gets their own Marine to do some sort of fun action with. Tanks now getting sieged up. Nice tank placement here. I'm actually loving the fact that I have my graphics settings so high because I almost always play on low just because I find it a little bit easier. But here is the Observer. Oh my goodness, this is so fancy. Ooh, look at this. It's like an advertisement for Nuke. Yeah, hope it's like Nuka-Cola, that reference to Fallout 3. Anyways, continuing to build up. I like the fact that we're adding on more Roaches. We want some more meat shields up at the front. Taking this expansion here at the top left. Up here we have some Hydralisks, aware of a drop that could potentially happen, but we really haven't seen any sort of drop stuffs happen for a while. There's the scan, there's the infestation pit. The hive is just getting started. Is any drops going to be coming soon? Looks like just more tanks, Marauders, and a handful of Marines here. Just this big anti-ground army. And I'm not going to lie, if any number of Broodlords are thrown into that mix, it might be lights out for Strelok here in the round of 8. And uh-oh, looks like these Hydras and Lings that were instead just used to originally defend some stuff up here are now taking out these destructible rocks. So this is going to be very bad news for Strelok. Look at this positioning that Strelok's worked so hard to set up. Completely shut down by this right here. And I love this. Look at HayprO pulling right back. All HayprO needs is the threat of moving out like that. HayprO doesn't need to actually attack through there. He just needs to force all these tanks to unsiege. And look, Planetary Fortress now starting to go down. This is my computer decides it wants to give up and begin lagging, but alas, it looks like it's starting to get a little bit more stable. I hope it sure stabilizes. Look, Strelok knows that the only solution that he can do is to just be aggressive. Yeah, there's a counterattack coming here, but he just has to deal with it. He needs to do damage here. Look at the Hunter-Seeker missiles going off. Bam! See you later. I do not think that you will be staying alive for much longer. And here the tanks moving forward. Big army. Look at that. Incredible stem. Here come the Infestors. The tanks have not sieged yet. Oh, that's so huge. fungal growth on all the medevacs. They do not get the chance to repair what they wanted to. And look, almost no roaches here anymore, which means these tanks are going to make short work of this line here. Getting demolished. Look at that push. But oh no, meanwhile here, Strelok looks like he's going to be losing this expansion. He just cannot reinforce quickly enough, trying to build some Hellions, because Hellion flanks demolish Hydralisks. Meanwhile, at the front, it looks like Mutalisk's out. Oh no! Look, throwing down some of these point defense drones, throwing down some auto turrets, trying to get these Mutalisks to back off, but with no anti-air at all, it's going to be good game for Strelok. Strelok trying to do a little bit of magic here, trying to target fire, kill it off, hopefully cripple the Zerg's economy, and win if he can miraculously defend this somehow. Right now, it looks like a lot of Marines are being made out of these barracks. Does he have the upgrade? No, he does not have combat shield upgrade. Just throwing down a few Mutalisks was just too much, and he spent all those Hunter-Seeker missiles on the Hydralisks and the Roaches. And look, just cleaning this up, adding on some more units, more Hydralisks being poured out of these bases. This Hydralisk counterattack, what a game winner. Forcing Strelok to move forward when he didn't want to. Strelok trying to pull all his units back, but in small numbers. Hydralisks just a little bit too strong, even with Hellions doing so much damage to light. Good game. It appears that HayprO is in fact going on to the round of 4. What an unbelievable series. That was awesome. Oops, slid my camera off a little bit there. So, once again, I'm going to be going offline in just a little bit. We're going to take a nice little break before the round of 4. But once again, that was just a phenomenal series by HayprO. I mean, I really liked Strelok's opening. A lot of early aggression there with the Hellions. Forces opponent to make some Roaches so he could skew himself towards Marauders. But the problem is that army has... It's like 2 pieces. Each are really strong at killing their own specific unit, but aren't good as a whole against other units. I mean, without any upgrades, Hellions do 24 damage to Zerglings, but only 8 to Roaches. It's like nothing, you know? So it's a little bit dangerous to go for that sort of composition. I like opening up the Hellions. Perhaps if he transitioned into mech a little bit earlier, maybe he got the tanks a little bit earlier and just used the Hellions as again, meat shields, because they're just so cheap. That may have been effective, but I mean, HayprO just did a beautiful job of building up this big Roach force, and then after a while, he just went straight into Hydralisks, and there was almost nothing that Strelok could do, especially with HayprO's beautiful tactics, where he's doing all these counterattacks along the outside, and just crushed Strelok in 2 straight games, so we didn't even have to see that 3rd game on Blistering Sands. So coming up in just a second, we will be having the round of 4, the semifinals of the StarCraft 2 Invitational here at TeamLiquid.net, and I am your commentator and host, Day 9, and we will be right back. Until then, let's listen to some funky, funky beats. Cheers!